Hey there, and welcome back to Cowboy Survival. I'm Richard, and what I thought I would do is talk a little bit more in depth about my goals and resolutions for 2024 related to survival issues. And I did a video a couple days ago, a short, where I just listed 5 of my survival goals for the year. But I thought it would be useful to go through those goals in a little bit more detail, maybe actually add a couple of goals to that list. Setting goals are important. A wise man once said that he who aims at nothing invariably hits it. If you don't set a goal, you never know if you've achieved anything or not. So setting these goals, even if you don't achieve them 100%, if you just get partway there, that's more progress than you would make if you didn't have a goal at all. So let's get into it and talk a little bit about the goals for 2024. Okay, so let's talk about the first goal. My first goal for 2024 is to get in better physical shape. I'm 65 years old. 2 years ago, I suffered from just a debilitating illness that put me in the hospital. I was in and out of the hospital over about a 6-week period, went through 7 surgical procedures where I was under anesthesia 7 times in a 9-week period. I almost died. Doctors gave me a 30% chance of survival. I lost over 35% of my body weight. At one point, I couldn't even walk without a cane. I've recovered dramatically. I am a blessed man, make no doubt about it. I am fortunate and I understand that. I probably don't have a right to be here, but boy, am I thankful that I am. But that got me to realizing that if I want to continue to do the things outdoors that I want to do, if I want to continue down this road of getting back into the outdoors, spending more time outside, doing hiking, doing survival kind of activities, I'm going to have to be in better physical condition. My endurance is low, my leg strength is low, my arm strength is low. All those things need to improve with me if I'm going to continue down this road. So I'm going to endeavor in 2024 to get in better physical shape. Now that's not going to mean I'm not going to end up some ripped bodybuilder, kind of guy. But what I am going to do is I'm going to work on my endurance. So I'm going to be walking more. I'm going to be maybe doing a lot more treadmill work. Just try to get my heart rate, my heart in better shape, in better condition. Luckily, I have no heart conditions or issues that I have to worry about. All I got to do is strengthen that heart, right? I'm going to work on muscle tone and muscle strength. So I'm going to work on my arms. I'm going to work on my legs. I'm also going to work on my core to get my core stronger so that that will help support these efforts that I'm going to undertake. All this can be done through a place like Planet Fitness. I actually have access to a university gym fitness center that has an indoor track. It's got tremendous facilities and I can use those. So I'm going to be doing that in 2024. I think the next thing that I want to do in 2024 that wasn't on my short list that I did when I did the short earlier this week, but there's 2 other items that I think are important that I want to add to this goal list for 2024. The first one is to get in better financial shape. We know some things. One of the things we're hearing from a lot of economists is that 2024 has the potential for being a really bad economic year. A couple of things are going on. First of all, we know that trillions of dollars have been pumped into the economy simply by the government printing money. That's not good. When you get too much money supply, that's going to cause inflation. And the response of the government to inflation has been to raise interest rates. So we've got inflation still going on. We've got tremendous amounts of dollars into the economy that don't need to be there and are creating all kinds of pressures on the economy. We also know that personal savings for people is down about 75 to 80% from where it was prior to the recession. We had over about $5 trillion in personal savings before the COVID disaster, COVID epidemic. And from what I read, it's now below a trillion. So we went from 5 trillion to less than 1 trillion. Now that's about a 75 to 80% decrease in personal savings availability. Now what that means is people are running out of money. At the same time as housing costs are going through the roof, we know that cost of living is 20 to 25% higher than it was in 2021. So we've got lots of issues that we have to deal with. So there's a chance, there's the potential, not guaranteed, but the potential for financial disaster in 2024. So what do we do about that? I think first thing you have to do is figure out what resources do you have? What are the investments that you have? What's the money that you have? And once you decide that, Is it safe? Is it protected? I think the most high risk place to put it, obviously, is in the market, right? Now, a lot of people would advise that you stay in the market, that you never get out. Warren Buffett, the most successful investor of our time, says never get out of the market. But he's got, $80 billion. He can afford to lose $40 billion. I can't afford to lose half of my retirement. So I've got to be a little more conservative. Now, some of you may not be as conservative as me. Some may say, it's bad times, now's the time to take advantage of buying opportunities. And you may be right. Others of us who are my age are looking at retirement square in the face, are thinking, you know what, I need to take the resources I've got, I'm healthy, I need to protect those resources some way. So what are some ways that you can preserve that? Look for that. Some of you may decide to pull out of the market and get more into fixed rate. Right now you've got CDs that are paying pretty good rates, about 4 to 5%. You've also got money markets that are paying 4 to 5%. That may be a good investment for you for the short term. Get out of the market until you see what's going to happen in 2024. If nothing happens, get back in. If it goes way down, then you get back in and take advantage of the run back up. Be safe in 2024. Think about how much you have at risk and how much you can afford to lose. And if you can't afford to lose it, look for ways to protect it. So I'm going to try to get myself in better financial condition in 2024. Physical condition, financial condition. Third, spiritual condition. I'm a firm believer that a spiritual man is going to be a strong man. I think having your spiritual condition where it ought to be is exactly the kind of mental of frame of mind that you need to be in. I've done a video before where I talked about, I think the ultimate survival hack is a healthy, vibrant relationship with Jesus Christ. If you don't have that relationship, your hope for eternity is not there. So, for me, I'm going to work on that spiritual relationship and make it even stronger in 2024. First thing I want to do is I'm going to spend more time in Scripture and in prayer. I think that will strengthen me, it'll help focus me, it'll teach me more about the wisdom that comes from Scripture. I think along with that, our church is actually engaged right now in an activity where we are, the church bought every member of the church a special Bible that is going to allow us and enable us to systematically and as a group read through the New Testament over the course of the next year. The Bible is set up so that it has daily assignments, a chapter that you read each day, and by the end of the year you will have gone through the entire New Testament. I think that's kind of pretty cool. We're doing it as a group, as a body, so it gives us something that ties us together, which I think, that doesn't mean we get together and do it at the same time, but we're all going through this experience at the same time. And so I'm going to do that, and I'm going to try to stick with it as best as I can. The third thing I'm going to do is I'm going to search the Scriptures, and as I read particularly through the New Testament, I'm going to look for Scriptures that encourage me and support me in the hard work and the discipline that's necessary to do the preparations that I need to do in order to be ready for any disaster that might occur, whether it's a natural disaster, financial disaster, epidemic, whatever it might be. I want to be ready for that, and it's going to take discipline, it's going to take hard work, it's going to take studying, it's going to take practice so that I'm ready for anything that might happen. So that's my three first big goals for 2024, is getting better physical condition, getting better financial condition, and getting better spiritual condition to face whatever 2024 might bring our way. So what I want to talk about next is going to be my 4 preparedness goals for 2024. So let's get into those. Well, hey there. What we're going to do next is talk about the 4 sort of preparedness goals for 2024. I thought I'd make some coffee and drink that coffee while we're talking, give me a little something to focus on, I guess. But those goals are going to be important. Remember what I've said. If you're not prepared for what's going to come, then you'll never be ready to face it. I believe that fear comes from being unprepared for the uncertainties that are certain to occur. Fear is not an uncontrollable act of nature, and we need to understand that. So if we're prepared, if we're ready for the things that are going to happen, if we thought about them ahead of time, we're going to be prepared for those uncertainties that are certain to occur, and we're going to be able to face them successfully. So in 2024, what are the goals I'm talking about? Well, the first one I want to think about in 2024, that I'm going to think about, is being more food secure. So when I look through my pantry and I look at the food we have, I've got enough food to last us, we got enough food to last us for a week or two, but do I have enough food to last us for a long period of time? Could it be 30 days to 60 to 90 days? I'm not sure I've got that kind of food on store, on hand. So I've got to think about, how do I provide food for my family that is going to allow us to get through an extended period of need. Now, it's complicated by the fact that we have certain dietary needs and restrictions in our diet. For instance, I'm staying away, I can't eat red meat because of the illness I had a couple years ago. I have to stay away from anything high in saturated fats because my pancreas simply can't process it. So I stay away from butters, I stay away from red meat, I stay away from processed pork, I stay away from any of those things. Fried foods, I try to stay away from dramatically. My wife has certain dietary restrictions that restrict the kind of things she can eat. So we've got to make sure that not only do we have sufficient food, but the food we have meets our dietary requirements. But it's not just having food stored up to get you through that time. If the time period is even longer than that, I've got to think about, how do I generate my own food? Because let's just hypothetically say we have the zombie apocalypse, right? Well, I can only raid local grocery stores for cans of soup for so long before those stores are empty, right? I've got to think in terms of, how do I create my own food? How do I grow my own produce? And how do I acquire and put up and store my own meats that I might need? So that's something that I have to work on in 2024, both making sure I've got sufficient food stores and learning better how to grow things. So can I grow tomatoes? Yeah, I can grow tomatoes. Can I grow small vegetables? Yeah, I can do that. But the question is, can I grow sufficient variety of things to not only sustain me for this year, but to can things for the winter, and also to preserve seeds so that I can replant those things in the next year? So those are all skill sets that I need to work on and get better at. The second kind of preparedness skill I need to work on is water. What's my water security like? Right now, I've got bottled water. I've got quite a bit of bottled water, but is it enough to get me through months? No, it's not. You got to think about, they recommend at a minimum a human being's going to need, you're going to need about 1 gallon of water per person per day to get through a long period of time. So let's say it's a 90-day period. Let's just say a 30-day period. Where for some reason the water system would be down. I'd need a gallon a day minimum for me and my, that's 2 gallons a day, but really they say you should plan on 2 gallons a day per person. So that's 4 gallons a day for 30 days would be 120 gallons. So I'm going to need at minimum, a 50-gallon drum of water, plus a bunch of other bottled water to go along with that. I don't have that. I need to figure out, where am I going to get that water? And where am I going to store it once I get it? Where do I get the drums for that water? Once I fill the drum with water, what do I put in that water? Peroxide and chlorine. How much peroxide and chlorine do I put in that water to sanitize it, to clear it? And then I got to cap it off and close it. Now, once you've cleaned the water, once it's stored in a cool, dry place where it's not exposed to light or heat, that water will be preserved almost indefinitely. Water doesn't go bad, right? What happens is bacteria grows in the water, and it grows when it's exposed to heat and light and oxygen, air. So if you seal it off and it doesn't have heat and it doesn't have air, you're going to be fine with that water. But I've got to find a place to store a couple of 50-gallon drums of water, right? 100 gallons of water, that'd get me, for let's say 100 gallons of water divided by 4 gallons a day for me and my wife. I don't think we'd use it much, but if we did, that'd get us through almost a month. So where do I store 2 50-gallon drums? I can't begin to tell you where I would store 50 gallons. I got to figure that out, right? And another option is always, if you have property, to go drill a well on that property. And if you've got a well, hook up a solar power generator to that well, and you can always turn the pump on using the solar power generator and pump water out of that well for you. So that's another option for you, is if you've got property, drill a well. So you've got to have enough, bottled water to be able to take that with you. You need to have large quantities of water in case the disaster goes on for a long period of time. And you've also got to have an ongoing long-term source of water that you can draw from. Well, it's great because you don't have to clean it. A stream or creek is okay, but you have to clean and sanitize that water. Water coming out of a spring or out of a well is going to be the best. I'm going to do a video. I got a friend that's got a farm. I've been out to their farm before in these videos, and they've got a spring that comes right out of the rocks, and he wants me to go out there and get sample that water and test it, see if it is in fact drinkable as he's always been told it is. It's supposed to be a pretty healthy spring, so I'm going to go out there, I'm going to look at some of that water and see what we can do. So the third kind of preparedness I want to work on is my home security. I've got a home that's got a lot of ground floor windows, and I'm concerned about how secure that really is. Now, I do have a home security system, as a lot of people do, but that just warns me if somebody comes in. What do I do to keep people from coming in? Well, one of the things you can do is you're not going to put bars on your window. That doesn't look good, right? You're not going to go through, I guess if I was really fanatical, I'd go and put shatterproof glass on all my windows, like they have at golf courses, but that'd be really expensive to do, and I'm not sure that's really necessary or productive. But one of the things you can do is you can do things like put in locks between different parts of your home. For example, if you've got a basement, the door from the basement to the main part of the house should not only be closed all the time, but it should have a deadbolt on it so that you can lock it from that side, not from the base, because people might break in your basement, but if they can't get through that door because it's deadbolted, that gives you some time to access your home defense weaponry or whatever. But having that space between the basement and your main part of the house locked and deadbolted is a really good idea. Other things you can do is you also need to protect your home from fire. You need to have fire smoke alarms. You need to make sure you have water alarms in case your hot water heater or pipes break, so it detects if you're away from home and the house starts to flood. You can destroy your home really quickly and be out of a place to live if your water pipes break and you don't catch it very, very quick enough. So those are all things you can do, but I've got to think about my home security and ask myself, is it in the best shape it can be in? What other things can I do for my home security to make it a more secure place for me and my wife to live? Now, the fourth area of preparedness that I'm going to work on this year is my power backup. So I looked into this year adding one of these Generac gas generators to my house, backup generators to the house. A couple things to think about when you do that. First of all, how big a house you've got. For me, I would need a pretty big system. It's going to cost me about 13 grand to put a system in. And that's actually I think I'd probably get it done for about 12 grand. But that's expensive. That's a lot of money. And to put that kind of money into a system, you've got to think about, is it really going to help you? In the environment, if our government was to decide to stop allowing people to use gas products, that gas-powered backup generator is not going to be good to have here at the house, right? It'd be useless. It's just be a piece of junk. It'd be a weight. On the other hand, something you need to think about if you're going to put something in, they tell me, and I'm not a contractor, so I don't know this, but they tell me that many homes, the electricity comes in one side of the house and the gas comes in the other end of the house. That's bad because you've got to have the gas has to be hooked up to the backup generator, which is also hooked up to the electricity. So you're either going to have to run electric lines underground all the way around to your house and put the generator near your gas main, or you're going to have to put the Generac near, or the backup generator near your electrical and run a gas line all the way around to your gas input for that. Luckily in my house, my gas and my electric are actually on the same side of the house, and there's just enough space that you could put the backup generator between the two. So that would work well for me, and actually cuts my cost down a little bit. But something for you to think about. You're going to put in a backup generator system for your home. Other things you might want to have is one of these solar-powered solar-powered battery backup systems you can put in the house. A lot of people have them. They're portable. You can pick them up and carry them with you. They're expandable, so you can add other battery packs to them. It allows you to run things in case the power goes down. Allows you to run like your freezer, your refrigerator, a couple of your lights perhaps. Allows you to recharge things that need to be recharged. It's not going to power your whole house. It's not going to power an electric furnace, but it will provide you enough power to do some basics. So that's really important, I think, to think about. I've got to think about that for my home. Am I really going to go through and put in that that backup generator system in my house this year? A lot may depend on what it looks like is going to happen in the election. If the current president gets elected again and follows through with his thoughts and feelings about fossil fuel, particularly gas. There's a war right now. They're trying to get rid of your gas water furnaces, trying to get rid of your gas water heaters, trying to get rid of your gas heaters, trying to get rid of your gas stoves and your gas dry. Anything that runs natural gas, they're trying to get rid of, right? Oh, that's bad for the environment. At the same time, they're flying around the country in their private jets and their chartered jets to tell you not to use as much fossil fuel. But if they persist in this and are successful in it, we will have trouble getting access to fossil fuels. If they're successful, that's what's going to happen. And there's not a whole lot we can do about it, except vote in people that will support our need for affordable energy. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not against doing anything I can to preserve the environment, anything that's reasonable. I was a Boy Scout. I grew up, studying. I earned my Conservation of Nature Merit Badge. I earned my Nature Merit Badge. As a scout, we're always told that when you go to a campsite, when you leave, that campsite ought to look more natural than when you got there. We used to call it naturalizing the campsite when we left. After we cleaned up all our stuff, got it all packed up, we went back through and made it look like we'd never been there. I think to the extent that you can use as few of the natural resources as possible, as you can minimize the consumption of that, as you can minimize the damage that you do to the environment, I think that's a good thing. However, I don't think you need to be fanatical about it and hurt our own chances of survival in the interest of not using fossil fuels. That's just the way it is, right? We're going to have to do that. Human beings make up about 30% of the biomass on this planet, and we all need to cook, we all need to stay warm, we all need to process things, we all need to make things, and that's going to require energy. So we got to figure out a way to be able to do that, but at the same time do as least damage, not no damage to the environment, but as least damage as we can. So those are my 4 preparedness goals for 2004. Food security, water security, home security, and energy security. I'm going to work on those 4 things in 2024 and try to get better at them. Well, there you have it. My 7 goals or resolutions for 2024. Maybe they gave you some good ideas of your own. Maybe you have some ideas you want to put in the comments. I'd love to hear what your goals are for 2024. Remember, we'd love to have you subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get our goal up there. My goal for the end of the year would be to have 1,000 subscribers, but my immediate goal is to get to 300 by Valentine's Day. I think that's a reasonable goal. We know that 90% of the people that view these videos are not subscribers. So if you're viewing this video and you're not a subscriber, click that subscribe button. Go ahead and subscribe to this. It doesn't really obligate you to anything, but it does help my metrics a little bit. In the meantime, we hope that you're getting something out of these videos. If you have any idea for videos you want to do, let me know. But as I always like to say, stay strong, stay prepared, have a blessed day. We'll see you soon here on Cowboy Survival.